Welcome to the Business of Beauty, where we help beauty entrepreneurs in building their business and reaching their dreams. This is your host, David Lee. Our guest today is a brand marketing strategist, personal branding coach, host of the Second Phase podcast, and a headshot and branding photographer. She helps female entrepreneurs find clarity and build confidence to connect with and grow their ideal audience to attract more clients. She builds brands that stand out and make an impact. She is very proud of the success she had within her business, but more importantly, the success that her branding clients are experiencing. Seeing their confidence soar and their business flourish and is inspiring and fills her with joy. She is also proud that she has created a six-figure business doing something she loves and serving others at the same time. And the podcast is also another source of pride. She is proud that they are now at 66 episodes with almost 7,000 downloads in just 9 months. And her superpower is the ability to help people relax, find clarity and confidence, and helping women feel beautiful and confident is her ultimate gift. Welcome to the show, Robyn Graham at Robyn Graham Photography, LLC. Welcome.
Well, thanks for having me. Thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
Oh yeah, same here. Yeah, and I can totally relate. Like, so you said you have up to like 66 episodes, 9 months. So looking at the calendar now, so you started in the beginning of this year, right?
I did. I launched
So totally relate. We started at the same time. So yeah, it's quite impressive. We're not at 66 yet, but we're getting there. So pretty impressive.
You know, it's been a journey, and it was really, I created the podcast out of a passion project. You know, I'm in my second phase of my career. I transitioned from having a doctorate in pharmacy and being in the pharmaceutical industry to following my passion of photography.
Okay.
And then, you know, incorporating the brand strategy in that and the marketing. And so it's funny, when I started this, I thought, where is it going to go? Is it, am I going to be able to do this? And so I put out there, to request interviews from specific entrepreneurs that I really respected and thought they could provide value to my audience, my listeners. And I was just flooded. It was like the floodgates opened, and we had interviews scheduled, 2 a week for many, many weeks. And I finally had to reel it in and say, I can't keep up. So we've had just an abundance of content, which really has been a huge blessing.
Wow, that's awesome. I did not know this. So you used to be a pharmacist.
I did.
Wow. Okay. How did you make the transition from pharmacy to what you're doing today? Because I have a few friends that are also in pharmacy and they don't quite enjoy it. They're like, oh, this is not what I expected, but I went to school for all this. I have all this education and the pay is great, right? And they're like, I don't know if I want to switch. So what convinced you, and how did you make that transition?
I'm a firm believer that everything in your life happens for a reason. And I have 3 children. And as my children were getting older and becoming more involved with activities at school, traveling, sports, all of those things, my husband has the same degree. And so he was traveling globally. I was traveling periodically. I had my own business. I was a medical writer. And so I was consulting for pharmaceutical companies and managed care companies.
Yes.
And, so I was having to travel for meetings, symposium, different things. Mm-hmm. And our life was like 2 ships passing in the night. And we were seeing the anxiety level in our house go up and up and up. And it just got to a point where it wasn't worth it. We didn't have family here to support us. Our nanny became sick. And even though I was just working part-time, that was a lot of time and stress and meeting deadlines that was really overflowing onto our kids. And so we decided that I was going to follow my passion. I have done photography my whole life, loved it, but I wanted more for a career. And so at that point, 10 years ago, I just totally hung up the medical hat and started a blog. And my first client was a branding client. And that was it. That's what I've done since.
Yeah. You mentioned the 10 years ago, right?
10 years ago, yeah.
Wow. Yeah, time just flies, right?
Time flies.
So I'm just curious, what kind of photography did you start off with?
Well, as I said, a branding client was my very first paying client. But what I
Yeah.
really did to start was I posted, on a blog, on my website, I would share my creative work, my fine artwork. And that led me into juried exhibits and different experiences and exposure that way. And so I built my audience kind of almost backwards, because I presented myself as an artist first, but then as soon as I started to get clients through, really it was, telling people what I was doing and putting myself out there in a way that never before had I been comfortable doing, but I wanted to make this work. And so I started taking on more and more clients, and I did family portraiture, and I did product work, and I did all these things except for weddings. Didn't do weddings. And,
I heard that
then
was
I
really
realized,
tough, weddings.
I was not interested in that.
Yeah.
And, mostly because I didn't want to work weekends, but
I don't blame
all day,
you.
every weekend. But, so I took that, I literally took my passion, something I loved. And then as I was working and doing all this, I realized the other stuff wasn't fueling me. And I have such a strategic mind that I needed to be thinking at the same time. And I knew that when I was doing corporate headshots, I was getting that interaction, and I was able to talk, corporate talk and, things from the place where I had come from. And then also, the branding and really helping women and men. Well, from a branding perspective, I work primarily with women, but, really helping women, create this visual story for their business, which was helping them. I knew it was going to help them, make emotional connections and build genuine relationships and help their business grow and attract more clients. But they didn't understand how to use those images, and they didn't understand what having a brand actually meant. And so I saw this opportunity to really help other people, by sharing all of my knowledge, what I knew and what I had done within my own business. And that's when the strategy component and the coaching component of my business kind of started to
evolve and
just
grow, right?
Evolve and grow. And exactly.
Yeah, because that's actually quite interesting, because like not many brand strategists I've seen or photographers I've seen have the two combined. Especially like I was looking at your site, like, oh, interesting. You do photography and you do brand strategy, so that's pretty neat.
Yeah, and I say it. I think I just posted it on Instagram recently that brand photography is not portrait photography. They're totally different, because you can have a portrait photographer take your pictures, but you have to have the strategy of what images you're creating and what you're going to use them for. And so it's really important. And if your listeners are interested, they can go to my website, and I have brand marketing resources, and I have a list of free resources that they can dive into. But one of them is a lookbook, a free lookbook. And it goes over like what goes into a brand strategy photo shoot, what goes into a personal branding photo shoot. And it's really important to realize that you want to tell a story of your business. You don't want to just have pictures of you doing whatever. You want to be able to tell a story so that your ideal audience can see everything there is about you and what you're doing and the problem you solve for them and how you're going to serve them. So it could be as simple as where you work. It could be as simple as the products you use. Like in the beauty industry, you have so many products that you use. And it's also an opportunity. If you build your brand right and you really build your audience, you have opportunities for affiliate growth and revenue, right? Through the products and commissions and things like that. You have, like if you're a hairstylist or a makeup artist, take a photograph of every single one of those clients you've worked with and build your portfolio. All of those things are part of your brand, but when we're talking specifically about you as the business owner, you want to be front and center on your website. Your picture should be there, because your eyes and your smile, that's the gateway to your soul. That's how people are going to connect with you, get to know you. You're going to become recognizable and memorable. And then that same picture should be on your social media platforms. So I would think that as beauty artists, you definitely want to be on Instagram and Facebook, because that's an opportunity to share pictures of your work. And so as you're doing that, think about telling that story of the tools you use, and having your face front and center so that people readily can see who you are and who is going to be there for them to
Yeah.
solve their problems, their makeup, their hair, whatever.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, like there's this shift in the overall branding marketing world where, before it used to be dominated by these huge corporations, right? So as a little, smaller business here, right, the solopreneur, how do you compete at that level? Well, that's something that's totally unique, that these big corporations, they have to go through their whole checklist and lawyers and whatnot to kind of even pass through one single message, right? For you, it's a little different, where you're able to kind of give your audience that inside look that big corporations are actually, they're trying to do now, but it's still a little bit difficult because they're just so large, right?
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons a lot of them are using affiliate marketing. So they have marketers, these influencers out there doing this for them so that they can build emotional connections through these people. I mean, people buy personalities. They don't buy products and services. They want to trust you. And having branded photography and building content or creating content that really lets your audience get to know who you are is the fastest way to build that know, like, and trust factor. And, if you think about it, the reality is there is, a salon or a spa on just about every corner in our country. I mean, there are so many of them, right? So the competition is steep. You really have to differentiate yourself, and tell your clients or your audience through this content that you're going to create, both visual and written. You have to tell them, why they should come to you. They're not going to come to you unless they know you, like you, and trust you. So put yourself out there and educate, entertain, inspire them through this content. And it can be as simple as, having custom stock photos of the products that you use, the tools that you use. You can write posts on the importance of skincare, or the importance of conditioning your hair, or the importance of having a haircut every 3 months versus every 9 months. And I have no idea what that actual number is. I'm just saying things, but but you get to get the idea that, it's that educational piece. We're all hungry to learn, and we're all hungry to be the best that we can be, and to learn how to be the best we can be. So to provide that information out there for your clients is so valuable. And when people start receiving these bits and pieces of information from you as the brand, that they're going to share it. So you don't only become recognizable and memorable, you also become shareable. And that's how you build your community, to grow your business and attract more clients.
Yeah. And so for the listeners out there also, like if you're not doing it already, you should definitely consider, what to do or start doing it. But at the same time, on the other end of the spectrum, it doesn't mean, oh yeah, you know what, Robyn said so, I'm gonna just take as many photos and just throw whatever I can out online and just bombard all my channels and my website and with all different sorts of messaging. I mean, think about, have you ever met someone at maybe a cocktail party or at a party and they just started talking, right? Random facts of what they know, right? That gets really confusing and really boring, right? Really quickly. So one of the things that I recommend is, so Robyn, you mentioned you have some resources on your site, right? About thinking about, and you mentioned the 5 C's too. So we'll go a little deeper into that if you don't mind.
No.
Thinking about the 5 C's that which Robyn will be talking about. But really coming up with a plan, a strategy of what is my, I just say, people say don't judge a book by its cover, but on the online world, that's what they do, right? They look at your website, look at all these things, and they're like, okay, they try to figure out what your business is all about, right? Yeah. So, but with that, the 5 C's will help. So can you tell us a little bit about the 5 C's?
Yeah. And this is where it becomes very important, because you're right, David, you don't want to just throw up stuff to be throwing up stuff. You want to have a strategic plan that is going to show that you're providing value and help them get to know you in a way that is going to make them trust you, not have them turn away from you because they're overwhelmed by you. So yeah, and I think it's really important to select your content wisely, but we'll talk about that. So the first of the 5 C's is clarity. And when we're talking about clarity, I like to say, and this is maybe a little bit different for people in the beauty industry, but you want to know for sure who your ideal audience is. Who are those clients that you want to work with? You know, if you're a hairstylist, do you want to work with the millennials, and do you want to work with people who want short hair? Do you want to work with people with long hair? Do you want to become a color specialist? You know, you could become a cut specialist or a color specialist, but do you have something that you love so much that's what you want to do all the time? Something that every morning when you wake up, you're like, oh, I can't wait to put color on somebody's hair today, and I can't wait to create, you know, I mean, there's so many different now types of color that people are doing. It's not just highlights and lowlights. You have the ombre and the balayage, or I don't even know how to say the right words, but you know, there's all these things. So do you want to specialize? And if you do want to specialize, then be 100% clear on who it is you want to work with, but make sure that the people you want to work with are 100% clear what you do and the problem you're going to solve for them. So, you know, it could be that somebody has aging skin and they don't want wrinkles. Well, if you're an esthetician, do you specialize in facials that decrease wrinkles, or can you specialize in acne? Or, you know, but if there is something like that, don't be afraid to tell people. You know, we can take every single job that comes our way, but if there's something you're doing that doesn't excite you or fuel you, you don't have to do that. You can build your business around the things you love to do. Just make sure that you're completely clear on what that is, and then communicate it so clearly that the people that you want to work with, you know, if you want to work with, you know, people over 65, then only put messaging out there for people that are over 65. If you want to work with teens, put messaging out there that shows you want to work with teens. So you get the idea. It's just communicating very clearly what you do and who you want to work with, so that the right people find you. You don't have headaches at the end of the day, and the people that are coming to you are very happy, and they're going to continue to refer you, which is the sharing part, right?
One of the things I'm thinking about in the back of my mind is like, be careful what you ask for, right? When you start sending that message, right, you might not realize it, but you're like, hey, wait a minute, I don't actually really want to work with people over 65, but I keep posting information on how to help people age 65 or older, even though you may want to, but that's not your audience. So why are you even sending messages out there, right? So you don't want to dilute your message either.
Right, 100%. And cohesive. You want your content and your messaging and your platforms to be cohesive. So the way you have built your website, the color palette that you use, the mood of the website should translate over to your social media platforms. So like I talked earlier about having your face there on the homepage, the about page, so that people can really get to know who you are, but then have that on those other platforms so that it's cohesive when they go from your website to your social media platform, because people are going to try to find everything there is about you. They want to know, you know, the work you've done. They want to know where you work. They want to know all these things about you. So before they come to you. So make sure that all of those things are cohesive so that people can trust that you know what you're doing, that there's this feeling of cohesiveness that makes them feel comfortable, that they can relax and feel comfortable and confident in the work that you're going to do for them. And then consistency. Consistency is, again, that content from website to social media platforms. Be consistent in your messaging, like what we talked about earlier. And when you're clear and you have clarity on what you do and the audience that you can serve and help and solve a problem for, you need to be consistent with communicating that. We also talk about consistency in terms of how often you show up. You can't post to Instagram once a month and expect it to help you build your business. You can post once every day. You could post 5 times a day. I post 3 times a week most of the time. And that's just because that's my structure. It works for me. People know they're going to expect to hear from me Monday, Wednesday, Friday. The weekends I take off. There's nothing wrong with that. It has to work for your lifestyle and your business. Now, if you're in the beauty industry, you're seeing patients all the time. Ask them if you can photograph them so that you can put that up on social media as a way to market your business. and tag them. They'll share it. I mean, if you've made them look great, what are they going to do? They're going to share that because they feel confident about themselves. So being consistent is about having the same messaging across all your platforms, but then also showing up consistently.
Love it.
Your content, we talked a little bit about this before. You want to have that visual content. Now, I realize, especially if you're just starting out, and if you have a lot of overhead, opening a salon or a studio, sometimes it can be very expensive. You may not have a budget for pro photos. If you don't have a budget to hire a professional photographer, I have on that resource page that I mentioned from my website, I have a smartphone photography for business ebook that you can download, and it will teach you how to take branded photography for yourself using your smartphone. We talk about light, we talk about composition. So you would have something that you could use to create photos that are good enough. They're not going to be professional, but they're going to be good enough that they would represent you professionally on your website and your social media platforms.
Yeah, and
so
I figure it's good to have anyways, because not all the time would you have a professional photographer right behind you when you're asking for your client, like, hey, can I take a picture of this, right?
Yeah, exactly. You don't have that
information. Good to know how to set your light up properly so you can get the best photo just out of your smartphone, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. We have these tools, we should use them. I mean, no one has, well, some people do. I mean, we're not like the influencers who have, a photographer that follows them around every day, all day. So use the resources that you have in order to stay within your budget and your means. And then again, with content, it's that messaging, and you want everything you put out there to either be educational, entertaining, or inspiring. You want to provide value so they keep coming back. And like I said earlier, that could be tips of your industry. It could be sharing personal things about you, pictures of you. Where do you get your coffee before you go to work in the morning? What flavor of coffee do you like? It could be the latest find. Like in the beauty industry, we have stylists, right? Where do you shop? Where do you take your clients to shop? Where are you finding the best deals with the most style, that kind of thing. So just always think about putting things out there that are educational, entertaining, and inspiring. So if you're going to post 3 times a week, there you go. One is educational, one is entertaining, and one is inspiring. You can put beauty quotes. There's so many quotes from Katharine Hepburn or Audrey Hepburn or Coco Chanel. Just use their quotes to share a piece of inspiration.
Yep.
And you could use your stock photos that you create with your smartphone or that a photographer creates for you. So you don't have to necessarily take things from the internet. You can create your own that are really reflective of your business and make it more personal.
Yeah. Are there any tools that you recommend for putting together the graphic to upload on like Instagram or on social media?
I use Canva for my social media stuff. I just find that I can put my brand colors there. So then everything is consistent and cohesive. I can use so many of their different templates, and you can do so much just with their free platform. You don't have to have the pro version of Canva to be able to do that. And the beautiful thing about it is when you go in to use it, you can create the size that you need. So Instagram stories or Pinterest. Pinterest is another great place, another really good place for your listeners because Pinterest is a search engine. Most people think of Pinterest as a DIY site, but Pinterest is a search engine. So people should be, and especially the beauty industry, you guys have so many opportunities to showcase and even repin work from other people. But every time you post and direct traffic back to your website on Pinterest, that drives traffic to your website. More people are going to find you. So it's a really powerful source to drive traffic to your website.
Okay. Yeah. Can you give us a little more like use cases? Like, so for example, for a beauty business, would they be like uploading their product photos on there or products plus maybe the model that use the product and they just pin it up? Because I think of like Pinterest as like inspiration, like people use it for inspiration other than, just arts and crafts, right? So they might be thinking about inspiration for maybe, I don't know, for a wedding that they're planning for, and they need a certain type of makeup, or they make sure their skin is clear in a few months, right? Stuff like that. So is that how you would use it, like for Pinterest?
100%. So what you can do if you are into blogging and you like to blog, create a blog post. With the blog post, you're going to have an image on the blog post. That could be just, a stock photo you pull from the internet of the product that you're representing in the blog. It could be a photograph of your client that you used a product on, whatever the case may be. But create a blog post on your website. Then you have a specific URL to drive that traffic back to. So then you go to Pinterest and you can post. If you create a business account on Pinterest, you can set up rich pins. So you're basically linking the metadata from Pinterest, putting that in your website, and then the little P for Pinterest will come up on all of your posts and pictures on your website, and then you can post them over to Pinterest directly. Or you can go into Pinterest and you can create the Pinterest account, create your boards. So if you're in the beauty industry, I would say, you'd want, depending on what you're doing, but you'd want, your work. So you'd want a board that represents your work. You'd want a board that represents products that you use. You could have inspiration, and that could be, things that you pull from other people's Pinterest accounts and repost them to your account. You could have any number of things, that are related to your industry as far as boards go. And then when you write a blog post, you can just link that back over to Pinterest, put that URL, and then anytime somebody clicks on that, they're going to go to your website. So that boosts your traffic to your website. If you're not into blogging and you don't want to blog, you can do that with your portfolio. As you take photos of people, or as people do write testimonials for you, make sure you have a testimonial page on your website, because that just builds brand credibility, builds the trust factor. If people are saying great things about you, more people are going to want to work with you. So make sure you have that on your website. You can link that back to the testimonials back to, and if you have a client that you have a picture of the client and you have their testimonial, put them side by side so that people can really relate to who it was that said that. And, so then you have that you can link back. You can also just take pictures of your clients, and then you can do a call to action in the Pinterest caption. The great thing about Pinterest is you can title it, which is search engine optimization, keyword, key phrase, eligible titles. And then there's a section of I think it's like 500 characters that you can put a phrase about what the picture's about. You just describe it, and then put hashtags. People search hashtags. So if you're in the beauty industry, use those typical beauty industry hashtags. So if you're doing something, for hairstyle, you want to make sure you do like shortcut, or hashtag shortcut, hashtag short hair, hashtag hairstylist, whatever those hashtags are. But that's how people are going to help find you. And then put a call to action in that description and say, would you like to work with me? Or would you like to learn more? And send them to the contact page or the home page of your website. So as long as you put your URL in there, then you're linking back to your website, which is going to drive traffic to your website.
Love it.
Yeah. And that you can, like I said, you can just post pictures of your clients, and you can create the graphics in Canva too for Pinterest. So just look for a graphic, put the picture there, and you've got a pretty graphic that has your brand colors. If your colors are, a lot of salons, I see black and white and, maybe another pop of color in there somewhere. It's so easy to create those graphics. And then if you're looking to do like a PDF or something, you can do that, brochures and everything in Canva as well, or you can do that in another tool called Visme, which it's very similar to Canva, but it's some people think it's easier to use. So those are the two things that I would use for creating content. And then community, you want to build your community, because your community is, the more you build community around your business, the more you're going to have a referral source and the more trust that you're going to have. Start with those people that are in your network already. So if you're just starting out, send an email out to everyone in your email list and say, this is what I'm doing. If you'd like to hear updates on specials we're going to have at the salon, or, upcoming events we're going to have at the studio, stay subscribed. If you don't want to hear from us, unsubscribe. But you're starting that communication, telling them about your business, and then provide them with a valuable tip or link them back to your blog, whichever you're doing. And then collaboration is another one that is really key. And you want to make sure that if there are people in your industry, they could become a referral source, especially if you have specialized and people that haven't specialized, but are interested in referring or building a collaboration relationship or a referral relationship tap into those resources, because again, that just helps with word of mouth. You build those relationships as collaborations, people are going to trust you, and then they're going to refer more business to you. Instead of competition, look at it as collaboration and opportunities to grow and to help others grow.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's plenty of work for everyone. And the way I see it too, it's like the more that you can specialize and niche down in your business, the more you'll grow. Especially now we have the internet. It's a global, pretty much almost any business can be global. And because of that too, you're able to increase your margins, just profitability standpoint, because you're not doing 20 different things. You're doing only maybe 1, 2, 3 things, but you're so good at it, and you can just constantly fine tune it. It's like constantly sharpening your sword, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I love that. So those are the 5 C's. All right, can you go over them one more time, like the words?
Yes. Clarity, cohesive, consistent, content, and community. And under community, I always add collaboration.
Nice. Love it. So for those that are watching, make sure you follow the 5 C's before you just start creating content and just throwing it out there, right? Think about it and come up with a plan. Definitely check out Robyn's free resources to get more information about that. So yeah, very good. Is there anything you would I guess give to our audience, like, or not give to our audience, but like suggest to our audience that they should be doing? Like, our audience are either starting their skincare or beauty business, or they're at a point where they're getting ready to take it to the next level. So what are some tips that you could give to our audience?
So first of all, I would be present. Be present in your business, show your face, and help people get to know who you are, make an emotional connection with you so that you can then build relationships with them, because you want to become recognizable and memorable so that you can build that know, like, and trust factor. So that is going to be first and foremost that I'm going to recommend. That could be as simple as having a professional headshot on the front page of your website, the home page, the about page, maybe 2 headshots. If you can't afford a whole branding shoot, at least have a professional headshot.
Yeah.
I would say show up and create content. The one place that I would suggest, there's a few things I would do as far as creating content that I think are going to help your business grow the fastest. One is an email list. Create an email list. If you have free information to offer, if you have something that you could create a lead magnet, you can create that, and then that's going to help drive traffic to your email list. But your email list is a way to constantly have access to whoever is on your list. We have so much access on social media, but at any given time, Facebook and Instagram can go down or disappear. Those followers would lose touch with us. Or TikTok, right. Who knows what's happening there, right? So you want to take advantage of your email list, because that is something you own. You can always touch base with your clients. And let me tell you something, you can send emails out and people may not hire you right away, but people will remember you, and they'll either refer you or they'll come back to you. I have had clients where they received my email and they were interested. I went and did like a free consultation with them, met with them, explained all the things that I do. It was a year later that they actually hired me. But we're talking a big ticket item that they hired me for. So the email and just staying and constantly present. And you don't have to do it every week if you don't have time for that. Do it every other week, do it once a month, but show up in email so that people remember that you're there.
Yeah, I totally agree. I even have a story of my own. Like, I would, like, we normally send out monthly like newsletter updates. And one day I just received an email from actually one of our own clients asking for an extra project work. But instead of sending me an email directly, which I would normally think, hey, they have my email, they're our client, but instead they replied to my newsletter, because that was just like what they remembered, right? It was just convenient. So just sometimes we think like, we don't want to bombard our clients or bombard our audience, right? There is a point where you're sending too much, but for the most part, with what I'm seeing, entrepreneurs aren't sending enough. There's just not enough information.
Yeah. Yeah. And if you look at it as you're not selling yourself, you're serving the people that you want to work with.
Yeah.
So always think of it. Don't think of selling yourself or selling your business. Think of it as serving people. I mean, everybody needs something, you know, every woman at least needs something to make her feel better. What better way than getting a facial or a massage or, you know, a color treatment? I mean, my favorite thing in the world is to go get my hair done. I mean, it's just, you know, an hour and a half, 2 hours where I actually just get to sit and let somebody do something for me or a facial. So that's a gift that people forget that they need. People are living in a rat race of, you know, just going here, there, working, shuttling kids, doing whatever they're doing, and they forget to take time for self-care. So in the beauty industry, you have so many opportunities to remind people of that. It's a gift you're giving them. They will be so grateful that you reminded them to take care of themselves and that you're there to help them do that.
Yeah. And I would say, like, if you're struggling with that, then go back to that clarity piece of like understanding, hey, what is my business all about? Because if you internally don't feel like this message is good enough to share and you're kind of hesitant, maybe there's something else behind your product or service that's really holding you back. Because one analogy I look at is like, let's just say, like, if one of my friends, let's say their sink broke, right? And I know a great plumber, right? Am I going to just ignore it and say, oh yeah, you know what, good luck finding a plumber? No, the first thing I would do in a heartbeat is say, hey, go talk to this plumber. I've used them before, and you should call them and get that sink fixed, right? Like, I wouldn't hesitate,
exactly.
right?
Nope.
So if your product or service isn't giving that type of messaging and you don't feel that strongly about that, like as strong as like referring this to your best friend when they need it, then something needs to update, right? Either your branding, your messaging, even your product or your service, right? One of those things, or maybe all of it, needs to be updated so you can get to the point where there's no concern. Like, it's almost like you're doing a disservice if you don't say it. Right?
Yes, 100%. And I think it's really important for people to realize too that, you know, I used to think this, that as a photographer, why would people want me to send them an email? But there are so many things. I mean, now that I'm a brand specialist, it's different. Like, I have so much, you know, that I can educate and stuff. But if you're in the beauty industry, there's a plethora of opportunity for you to really educate. The people don't know. And, you know, we don't know, especially if you are into the all natural or the organic products, you know, target the cancer industry. I mean, people are dying to save their lives and be healthier and live more green and help the environment at the same time. Use those opportunities. Tell us what products are available. We don't know. And, you know, we don't all have time to read a magazine or watch YouTube videos on the beauty industry. So, you know, take that opportunity and share that wisdom with us. And we're going to remember that. And the more value you give us, the more likely we are to share that value and then refer people to you. So just like you said, David.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, we've been on the show for quite a long time now, and we could talk for hours. Well, I keep you here for hours, but I really appreciate it. How can our audience connect with you?
I am the Robyn Graham everywhere. So my website is www.therobyngraham.com. You can access me everywhere else from the website. You can find the podcast there, or you can find the podcast on iTunes, Spotify, wherever you listen to podcasts. You can find other interviews that I've done on my media page on the website. That's under the About page. I'm on Instagram, the Robyn Graham, Facebook. I have the Brand Marketing Insider Facebook group, which is a great resource for your listeners to, you know, I'm there. I do live trainings. In fact, this week we'll be doing one on Canva graphics. Nice. And then, you know, we have other ones coming up on Instagram and email marketing. So, you know, we try to do a lot of live educational things there, as well as just inspiring, and I'm there to answer questions, and we give you opportunities to promote your business there as well. So that's the Brand Marketing Insider if they are interested in joining that on Facebook, and Pinterest, the Robyn Graham. I'm everywhere as the Robyn Graham.
Awesome. Well, Thank you so much, and I hope everyone has learned quite a bit. I know I have. And if you miss anything, and also the resource information and all the links will be down in the show notes and also in the description. So I hope you enjoyed this, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Hey, Beautypreneurs. I'm David. My team and I created a website kit for fellow entrepreneurs looking to grow their business online, whether it's e-commerce or a service-based business. We've got you covered. This will also help us continue our webcasts and provide valuable knowledge to countless beauty entrepreneurs watching. For more details, check out our website kits at beautybiz.info/website kits. If you like the videos that we make, you can support us by giving this video a thumbs up and subscribing to our channel. Thanks. We'll see you next time.